Hello everybody, it's J.Beau here. Obviously, who the hell else would it be? I just wanted to take a second to say thank you for walking with me when you watch my walks, and to reiterate that the opinions on these walks are mine and mine alone, which a lot of times is based on current info, and by the time it gets uploaded, sometimes the information changes. So I just wanted to say that, and I also wanted to say thank you very much. Today is an indication that fall is coming. It's 74 degrees, 72, somewhere around there. The air is dry. It feels fall-like today. Fresh Canadian air. We're going to have highs in the 60s this weekend, but it'll warm up again next week. But the walking season usually runs for me until at least a couple weeks into November, and that solely depends on the weather. If we get a lot of snow early, I won't be walking in snow, and I just wanted to give you the heads up on that. Last year I had 1,339 miles from January to December. This year I'm at 906.5. And between now and a couple of weeks into November, if I get to walk here and there between then and the end of December, if we have a mild winter without much snow, then I'll have a shot at equaling 1339. But as it is right now, I'm slightly behind the pace. So anyway, we're going to continue on our walk right now. We're going to do about 5 miles today, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for being here. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. Today we're going to do a basic route of about 5 miles. It is a route that I like because it's one that is very good for when you are starting to feel a little worn out from walking, either mentally or physically, because it has really good points of reference during the walk of how much time you have left to it, where you are. And you'll see if you walk a lot, you'll have different routes for different reasons that you like. Today would not be one where I would want to go on some adventure. Excuse me. It's beautiful today, not a cloud in the sky. It is windy today, maybe 12 to 15 mile per hour winds. I gotta pull my pants up and adjust. Technical difficulties. You know how that goes. So anyways, my friends, I'm gonna enjoy our walk today. At least I hope so. Make sure I'm not turning stuff on by accident here. So anyways, my friends, hi everybody. I just wanted to say hi. Got the killer attack dog coming after me. I don't even think it's a foot-long dog. So anyways, we have all of this stuff going on, and on the floor today in Congress, there was a resolution to honor Charlie Kirk, put forth on the floor, which is usually what happens when tragic events happen, like when the Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman was killed. She was actually killed by somebody that knew her. It was a political murder, assassination by someone, you know. So anyway, the point being, there was a resolution on the floor in Congress, and the votes for the resolution were over 400 plus to nothing, with 2, maybe 3 that didn't vote or something like that. Pretty much unanimous. You know, we're sorry this happened. Republicans, bipartisan, Democrats as well. They had one today for Charlie Kirk. The same person who inflamed everybody after Trump's assassination attempt has now inflamed everybody again. That would be AOC, of course. Well, I'll get to what she said in a moment, but what happened is the final vote, 58 Democrats, 58 voted against the resolution, 98 voted for, and 30, almost 40, I think, abstained from voting. They didn't vote, didn't want to participate. And then there was a few more that decided something else as a reason not to vote for it. So basically, 98 Democrats voted for the resolution out of 202 or 3 or whatever the hell the Democrats have. So AOC goes out on the floor. AOC goes out on the floor and says she won't support the resolution because Charlie Kirk is a bigot, a racist, and he was spreading hate. So she has decided to inflame this even more, irresponsibly, and people are absolutely outraged, as well as they should be. I hope she has good security, I really do, because we don't need to see more violence and bad things happen. So with that, it's very clear that these radical Democrats, socialists, want chaos and violence. And her speech today is going to influence a lot of these young voters into being violent. It's called incitement. The resolution today was supposed to be a bipartisan vote to calm down the rhetoric, to temper the situation into calmness, so people can chill out and relax and get back to business. Instead, she threw a stick of dynamite into it, which is what we expect from AOC. So that's what happened today. You can watch the video yourself. I'm not understating what she said. She was nasty. Hakeem Jeffries said that not one single Democrat condones violence when asked how they were going to vote. In other words, we're not going to vote for it, but we're going to go ahead and tell you that we don't support violence, but we're going to go ahead and vote against this resolution condemning the violence. So the Democrats are further showing who they are. And while a lot of people are going to get angry and upset, we're going to sit back and we're going to watch the Democrats harm themselves for midterms next year. All of these comments and interviews on TV are going to find their way into campaign videos showing the Democrats in their true light with their true colors and how much they hate this country. They don't want civility, they want chaos, and they enjoyed Charlie Kirk being killed. I firmly believe that. That's just my opinion, but that's all I can say. That's all that explains it. So I'm going to keep a level head about this. I'm not going to rant and rave about it. I'm just going to hope that the Democrats keep talking. Just keep talking. Talk some more. Talk out your ass. Talk out of your mouth. Just keep talking. So anyway, I'm going to flip the camera around. We got other things to talk about today. Very important things. Now I watched the video. I'm going to link the video in the description, okay? And I don't usually do that for other people's videos because usually there's a lot of people that talk bullshit. This is the only video I have seen that explains fully how Tyler Robinson, the shooter who assassinated Charlie Kirk, was able to sneak a rifle in, and then how he got it out. As we see a very flat animal, to me looks something like an otter. We have seen these before where we shoot. Has a long black tail, dark brown with the black stripes, and it's long, so it's not a possum. It's been run over a few times, but we don't see many of those, and those are actually protected. So during hunting seasons, can't hunt them, can't shoot them, I should say. Typically they hang out where there's water. There's not really any water around here, so that's mystifying where we're walking now. Maybe it's there because the water dried up. We are in a severe drought. So anyway, I'm going to link the video in the description. I don't know the channel. I don't know the guy that's in it. It's just a good explanation without conspiracy and bullshit. Because that's all I have seen on the internet. Today's conspiracy on social media is Tyler Robinson's not the shooter, it's a plant. The deep state is lying to us. I don't even know how people can be that stupid, but they are. Hopefully you're not one of those. So anyway, as you can see, it's a beautiful day. It's a very interesting theory on the rifle. He shows in the video how the rifle comes apart, what tools you need to assemble it, how quickly it can be done, how he laid down to take the shots using his backpack as a perch, a rest. And how easy it was actually to do that. So, very interesting stuff. Now I knew when there was a screwdriver on the roof that the stock was off of the rifle. There's no other reason to have a screwdriver. I told you guys that. So in this video, he has that same explanation I had, except he demonstrated how you could carry the stock in your pants on the opposite side of the rifle with the kind of clothing that he was wearing, and how you would use the backpack to cover that, which is what I said. I just didn't think that he had the stock in his pants also. So he shows how easy that is to conceal that. And the guy in the video has some extra pounds on him and a t-shirt that didn't exactly fit the loosest in the world, and it still did a good job hiding the rifle where it would not be seen. He also explains why a black towel was used, which I had not thought of. But the black towel blends in with his black clothing. So after he jumped off the roof, wrestled with the rifle a little bit in the video to secure the black towel, held it up against his side while he was walking, because you have to remember, at that time in that video, nobody was even sure if Charlie Kirk had just been shot. They heard a loud pop, and they might have thought somebody had a firecracker at the rally. People always manage to do dumb things like that. So people were not looking for a guy with a rifle. The other thing pointed out in the video, some people doing cross-country skiing practice. So the other thing in the video is why the rifle was found assembled. So with the rifle in the pants, you can't bend forward and you have to limp, which is what he did to disguise that you have something. You can't bend your leg. So that was very believable. After the shooting, and it's wrapped in the towel, according to the police, and also presentations using 3D maps of the area, The wooded area where they found the rifle was right across the street from the parking lot from where he jumped off the roof. So he simply had it in a towel up against his side, made sure the towel was black to blend in with his black clothing, camouflage, walked with it calmly, crossed the road into the woods where he left the rifle to come back later and get it, which he never got a chance to, thankfully. Also, the guy in the video simulates taking the shots and disassembling the rifle. Not disassembling it, but wrapping it in the towel. Grabbing his backpack and trying to leave in a hurry, forgetting about the screwdriver, leaving it behind, which had his DNA on it. Thank you. Thanks. So, that explains all of that to my satisfaction. So he snuck the rifle in with the rifle tucked down his pants on one side. The scope would be above the belt line, resting against your rib cage. That little indented area you have. Barrel goes down the leg. On the right hand side. And then he had the stock on the left hand side in his pants, being held up by his belt, being tight enough to hold both. The backpack and the loose t-shirt covers everything up perfectly. So that is to my satisfaction. That matches up with the text conversation. I'm still iffy with the text conversation. I still think the furry is going to get charged as an accomplice, because that text exchange, while it has been verified they did it live, it's time stamped, it's been verified in the time window. Tyler Robinson was sitting in his car, his vehicle, watching those woods, regretting that he didn't go back and get the rifle immediately, because we have a dead possum. Dead! So anyway, that's what I got on that. The actual rifle used has a polymer stock, so when you watch the video, it just has a wood stock. The original old 60s Mauser 30-06. It's got very few parts, disassembles easily. That video should quell probably about 80% of the conspiracy theories, I hope. So, what's interesting is the police released a photo with the polymer stock, and the rifle was misstated. It was stated to be an M18 Mauser, because those are newer versions of the rifle. It's basically the same rifle, but a newer version with a polymer stock. The one in the video had a polymer stock, and that could have been aftermarket, or it could have been an old 60s Mauser 98. So we have an old Mauser. It's in 308 though, but it's the same thing, same design. Ours has a wood stock they sell polymer stocks for it. You know, 308 would have done the job as well. So, very accurate rifles, I should add. So anyway, I do believe there's a video on it on the channel if you're interested. Just look up the Mauser 308 and you'll find it. Ours is actually a mishmash of two sets of serial numbers and an aftermarket sporter stock, or it may even be an original one that somebody painted black. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of companies since the 60s that have made aftermarket stocks. I'm not even sure if there's any way to really identify a company's stock unless it actually says it on there somewhere. But anyway, clearly the rifle used had a polymer stock. So the stock would have been even lighter to put in your pants than the wood one, which is the downside of polymer stocks usually. Some of them will fill the butt stock with something that's heavy, some kind of foam. Some of them are hollow. Sometimes people fill those themselves to balance the rifle better. So I don't know all the details on the stock that was on the rifle, but it was clearly a polymer stock and resembled an M18 Mauser, which is a modern version of the old Mauser. So I guess what I'm saying is, whether they used a newer model for the actual shooting or the old 98, it doesn't matter because they're basically the same. They really haven't changed the design. Many states in the 60s and 70s, including Maine here, had round limitations. I think in Maine you could not have more than 4 rounds total in the gun, in the magazine. Some states in the country had 3 restrictions. So I don't know the history of the rifle used, but it held 4 rounds. Now the other thing is, it's blatantly obvious that he was in a quick hurry to get out of there, and he probably worked everything out in his brain 1,000 times. But if you're a rookie doing anything, when you're actually under pressure, you make mistakes, which he would have learned from if he did this for a profession and not done it on other jobs, or had actually consulted with a professional sniper. The reason why I'm mentioning that is he wraps the rifle in a towel, he leaves the round chambered, the empty casing, which is something that snipers do. I think he did it by coincidence because he was in a hurry and was panicking. Like, you can't believe he actually did it, because it doesn't look to be like something he did on a regular basis to be all calm about. So he left the empty casing chambered, which professional snipers sometimes will do as well, because the motion after you take the shot and then you pull the bolt back to eject the casing, if you have eliminated your target, there's no reason to do that, and that motion of you doing that gives away your position. If people heard the shot and now they're looking at the countryside to see where it came from, and they see your hand work the bolt, you'll give away your position. So snipers typically like to shoot 1 shot so they don't give away their position, and then make as little visual noise as possible. So that's what this guy did unintentionally. I say unintentionally because I don't think he thought of that unless he researched what snipers do. And we'll see that from the discovery for the trial, because they're going to check out all of his Google history, everything he looked for online. They're going to get everything. Who he emailed, they'll get his emails, they will get everything. That's what they do when you're charged with a crime these days. And there's no getting away from it. The only way you can get away from it is to have a VPN that is really good. They usually cost a few bucks. And even then, that's not a guarantee either. So, but anyway, that information I have, I'm going to turn the camera around again. That information I have completely makes sense from this video. That is going to be linked in the description. It's was very doable. It would be something I could do with what I'm wearing now. Just some loose fitting pants. Would not be difficult. So now if he had used a modern rifle, he would have had difficulty, because a lot of the modern rifles are kind of like AR style, things like that, magazines, box magazines, external magazines. This had an internal magazine. So something like an old Mauser Nagant or an old Mauser, old school technology. So, well, that satisfies every curiosity I had. It coincides with the known videos. So basically he was a clever cleaver, thought of these things, spent some time thinking about it. So that's how I know there's going to be a digital footprint online somewhere where he was searching this information. There are books you can buy, digital books, PDFs on Amazon, written by snipers. So there's plenty of material out there. This guy was very studious, excellent grades when he was in school. 99th percentile towards the top of the whole school. And well, the guy's not dumb, let's just put it that way. But he's also normal, and he panicked and he just simply left the screwdriver on the roof with DNA on it. So that was obviously a mistake. So I think that pretty much wraps up the whole rifle thing for me. I've put that to bed to my satisfaction. Unless something glaringly new pops up, I don't really have much to talk about with it. As far as the text messages, I still have issues with those, and I'm going to have issues with those until we get more information. There's two different possibilities with the text. They either planned the kind of response they were going to use if it looks like he was going to get caught, but half of the text messages were sent before the rifle was found, or it was made available to the media that it was found. So he was sitting there not knowing if they found the rifle. So something to consider with that is he doesn't know if he's going to get caught yet. So why would he confess it in the text? It's probably why he talked in the text. Probably thought he was going to get away with it. So what I can't explain, regardless of that situation, is how calm his roommate was. So I'm going to focus on the roommate and not exactly what Tyler said. I'm going to focus on the reaction of the furry. I'll refer to him as the furry. So the furry did not seem to be very upset, at least in the text messages. He did freak out and say, "This wasn't you, was it?" You know, and then Robinson keeps talking. Then he just says things like, "Why? Blah, blah, blah. How long you been planning this? Blah, blah, blah." So for all we know, which hasn't been revealed yet, he may have been texting with Tyler Robinson when the police were actually there, because the police took photographs of the text. My assumption was that he didn't cooperate until the police knocked on the door. That may still be the case, because there was a note under the keyboard. And in the early part of the text messages, you have to remember this isn't one continuous conversation. It's a little bit, some time goes by, a little bit more conversation, time goes by. My point is, nobody called each other. That's what really bothers me about it. So if the guy is sitting there in his car talking about the rifle, he has to get it. His roommate, there's time in between they start talking again. What's he doing? So, because he told them there was a note under the keyboard. So his roommate looks at it, and Tyler Robinson tells him in the text message, I'm talking about the full-length text, beginning to end. Most of the stuff circulating online is just one section, which is what I originally first saw. But he tells him there's a note under the keyboard explaining what's going on. So that's when his roommate is like, "You didn't do this, did you?" And all this stuff. And then towards the end of the whole text exchange, Tyler Robinson was telling him to delete the note, to delete it, destroy the note, which he did. Now, the FBI said in their press conference, and the local law enforcement in Utah said that the FBI used forensics to restore the note. Now, I don't know if he meant to say to restore the text exchange or to actually restore the paper note that was under the keyboard. So there's a lot of info I don't have yet that I'm clear on. So the trial, I believe, is scheduled for, I think it's an arraignment or something else, some kind of procedure thing for the trial before it proceeds, is September 29th. I watched the video from the judge yesterday with Tyler Robinson on a Zoom video from jail. So that was the date, September 29th. So through discovery, the information is going to be made public for evidence, things like that. And I'm going to be interested in things like, was it a flathead screwdriver or a Phillips? That's very important because the old school Mausers, all the old rifles are flathead. The newer rifles are all Phillips or Allen keys. So, and they even use a different screw head in Canada. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a square hole. So anyway, we still have too much information we don't know to even start talking about conspiracy theories. But I think it's going to come down to the roommate was in on it, and Tyler's covering for his furry, or the FBI was there through part of the conversation because Tyler was doing all the talking. Nobody called each other. And I will reiterate that 1,000 times. If I'm walking down the road and now we're going to get involved in some kind of problem legally, more than likely, if it was something like that, I would have a discussion with the person that I live with, and it would not be a text message. Something like that is not something you text about. So that just seems really strange to me on its face as human behavior, to not want to talk to this person that you supposedly love, and you did something very bad that you could go away for, and you're just openly saying it in a text message. That just, something's wrong with that. Now, today, and again, we gotta wait till we have the full everything. And we're probably not gonna know until people are testifying. It's just the way it is, okay? That's why social media gets all these crazy conspiracies. Things take a while. We're not gonna have our answers overnight. So, all we got is stuff to chew on. And again, I'm gonna throw out the disclaimer. I'm not saying anything is fact. I'm just giving my opinion. That's all I'm doing. You have an opinion, I have one, he has one, she has one. Who cares, right? I'm doing a walking vlog and I'm just talking. So, today I watched a 30+ minute press conference with the sheriff's department that was notified by the pastor. And they gave their side of it today. Very interesting stuff today. So Tyler Robinson was absolutely deathly afraid that the police were going to kill him if they found out he did that. He thinks, like all the leftists do, that the police are Gestapo, fascist, and that they would take him in the woods somewhere and put one in his brain, and he was very afraid of that. The pastor knew the family religiously because the mother and father are Christians, they're Republicans, and as Tyler said in his text, that his dad, since Trump won the election, has been very, very deeply MAGA. So that we know. And I could tell from the photographs that was the case. And so basically it's turned out since then that he's lost his son to ideology, far left extremism, lunacy, whatever you want to call it. To the point where Tyler was absolutely afraid that the police were going to kill him and execute him without a trial or anything. So, somebody that smart, like Tyler Robinson, very high IQ, believed that bullshit. When he was sitting there in front of the judge was very polite, called him sir, made sure he knew his rights. I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, these guys are professional. They're doing what they're supposed to do, giving everybody their constitutional rights. Reminding him that he doesn't have to say anything, and that it was verified that he needs help with a defense attorney financially, and that would be done for him. And then he goes, again, I'll remind you, you don't have to say anything until you have an attorney. In other words, the judge isn't going to get angry and upset because Tyler's sitting there not talking. So, all Tyler Robinson was doing was these little nods. No expression on his face at all. Just dead inside, gone. That's what I noticed. The only bit of anything I saw was when the judge was talking about his roommate. And you could tell Tyler was concerned about his roommate, because obviously he loves this person. You could see him take a little bit of a, trying to hide that he was taking a deep breath. He didn't want to show that, you could tell. And he clenched his jaw muscles after he did that. So that was something that bothered him, talking about his roommate, that I observed. Now, I don't know why he did that. Could be just he missed him, he's hurting, scared, whatever. So that was interesting. But what was really interesting is the sheriff that was notified was the one that was talking. He said the pastor called him and said he knows this family. And his first reaction was, "Are you sure? Because I have to go to my superiors and tell them that we possibly might have an assassin, and it's going to divert resources that are needed to desperately find the assassin. So they need credible info." And the pastor was known in the community, in Washington County, very popular, honest, a good guy. So he turned him in. And I think justice would be that he get the reward for his church, because every church can use money. So that would be nice. It was a $100,000 reward for the arrest and conviction. So anyway, then they ended up contacting the father, and his father turned in his son. And when they took Tyler Robinson, the sheriff said they didn't put him in cuffs, which I thought was very odd. So it's a small community, they all know each other, and I don't think Tyler Robinson was a bad person, other than what he did, whatever was going on in his brain that was bad. But public perception to other people, he wasn't a jerk, he wasn't, I guess is what I'm saying. He's not the person you would suspect, okay? That's what I'm getting at. So, this sheriff said that they diverted resources for that, and they arrested him. But basically, Tyler Robinson had to be convinced that the police weren't going to kill him. That was the only way he was going to turn himself in. This sheriff person said, and this is important, Tyler Robinson, I quote, was having suicidal ideation when they were talking to him, his parents. He was planning to take off into the woods, never to be seen again, shoot himself, because he knew he had been caught. So that's why when you see him in videos, they have that green vest on him. A couple of media outlets, like retards, said it was a bulletproof vest. You're in a fucking locked jail cell in a police house. It's not a fucking bulletproof vest, you stupid. These people are so dumb. It's a suicide watch vest, so those people don't hurt themselves. Pretty commonly used. Very surprised the media didn't know that. So we have to rely on the media for information, where literally 60% of the time they don't know what they're talking about. They were wrong about everything with the rifle. They were wrong about everything, how this was possibly done. And they're also wrong in the fact that Charlie Kirk's not a racist. Never has been. The media dehumanized him to the point where somebody killed him. And then, within minutes of the person that did it being arrested, allegedly did it, okay, they were humanizing the victim, the shooter. After dehumanizing the victim, they were humanizing the assassin because they're playing partisan politics. That stuff really makes me angry. I hate the media with almost everything I have, seriously. And I believe the media, as well as social media, have divided this country. Hopefully not irreparably, but when AOC does things like she did today, that doesn't help. I'm going to try my best to ignore what she said today. But she reiterated that Charlie Kirk was a bigot and a racist on the floor of the Congress. And she's not voting to support that resolution. She didn't use the words, but basically she's not going to support a resolution for a Nazi, is basically what she was saying. So nothing's changed. She's the one that heated things up again after Trump's assassination attempt. And she's the one that's doing it this time, because she doesn't want peace. Does not want it. So anyway, Tyler Robinson was going to take off into the woods and do himself in. And I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he did not do that. Now, something we should do is, Tyler's parents were very good parents, Christian parents, Republicans, on the right side of everything. And this must be destroying them. So, you know, say a prayer for them, really. I mean, they just lost their son forever. They did everything right. Tyler got a fully paid scholarship to a university. I think it was $32,000 or $36,000 fully paid scholarship. He attended for 1 year and he dropped out. So that is something that happens sometimes with people that are very smart. And that's not usually indicative of maybe being a horrible thing. Bill Gates did the same thing. He dropped out of college. And I believe the founder of Apple may have as well. So, you know, that doesn't mean, but what it shows me, given what's happened, is that he got lost somewhere and never came back. So, I do know that all these people on Discord and elsewhere are being investigated that were in these groups. Every single person that belonged to these groups are going to be spoken to. That's going to take a while. And believe me, we're going to have more information coming out resulting from that, because there were at least 2 people posting about it in the group that knew something was going to happen. So something's going on there, okay? That much is obvious. Tyler Robinson's roommate belonged to those groups. That's why I'm saying that, because from what I know so far, Tyler Robinson did not belong to those groups. So you have the person that committed the crime did not belong to those groups. Then you have a couple people in the group who knew something was going to happen tongue-in-cheek without actually saying what. Just something big. Sure, that could be a coincidence. That very well could be a coincidence. It could be based on something they read somewhere else. All kinds of rumors start on social media. Some crackpot who pretends to be some kind of CIA operative online with a stupid account, conspiracy theory account, may have said something's going to happen. So they'll investigate it. But those two people did belong to a group that Tyler Robinson's roommate belonged to. And you have to understand what Discord is to know why this is a concern. It's not like Facebook. It's not like Twitter or anywhere else on social media. These are specifically, you make an account and you create your own server. Only people you invite come to it. And it's encrypted. So it's a place to privately meet and talk about things without being spied on and have free speech. That's what it's based on. It really took off during COVID 2020 because Facebook was censoring people talking about the pandemic. So was Twitter and pretty much everywhere else, including YouTube. So you had a lot of startups gain a lot of ground in 2020, including Rumble, which Dan Bongino is one of the investors. And for free speech. A safe place from big tech to be spied on. That is Discord. I have a Discord account that I forgot about until this happened. I made an account in 2020 when people were organizing protests, anti-lockdown protests, and somebody made a server because Facebook groups was censoring anybody organizing a protest. They were deleting the groups. So I don't know what my username is. I don't know what my password is. I could retrieve it, I guess. But anyway, the point being, Tyler's roommate belonged to the same group, which is a private server, invite only. And Tyler was not a member of that group. The furry was. And according to what's been explained by the FBI, is this person was members in more than one group. A couple of them were Antifa groups. So his roommate was involved with this dark web, far left, socialist, communist, anti-fascist groups. And Tyler Robinson only belonged to a gaming group. So that's something for you to think about. I think we are going to get a lot more information. Wow, look at this car. Isn't that pretty? An Impala. Look at that. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Wow. That's awesome. Well, I had to get a shot of that. I don't want to make the owner nervous. But there you have it. So anyways, my friends, that's my opinion on those things. There's a lot to talk about, I know. There's a lot to talk about. So basically today's walk is the Democrats Charlie Kirk resolution and new information on the shooter. I'm going to go down this side road here where there's a lot less cars and I can hear myself think. Natural tendency is to want to yell over the traffic noise. I'm not sure how that records on here. Probably don't have to do that, but that's just a natural reaction. So, I think we have some interesting things to ponder. I mean, it's blatantly obvious to me that the roommate knows a lot more than what the police are letting on, and I think the police know that. I think they're giving him some slack with the noose to hang himself, basically. That's a metaphorically said expression. I'm not promoting any kind of self-harm. Okay, Mr. Algorithm? Don't censor me. I got sweat coming out from under my hat. So one, what do we know? We know that his roommate did not call the police. He didn't contact anybody, even after he saw the note under the keyboard with Tyler saying he did it. And you could argue, well, maybe Tyler is having some kind of episode that the roommate knows about mentally that we don't know yet. Don't know. So he might have just shrugged it off as Tyler being weird again. So we'll learn all that too. So you have to think out of the box on this with different possibilities on why he didn't contact police. He could have just straight out been covering for him, or he was an accomplice. And he said as little as possible, because they worked out ahead of time that if things were getting hot, we're going to have a text record and we'll make sure you're not implicated. So that's all speculation. I have no idea. But that conversation and the simple fact that they actually had that instead of talking on the phone seems very suspicious to me. Intentionally leaving a record behind and then telling the roommate to delete it. Taking full responsibility, like going out of their way to make sure the roommate is not implicated. It just seems very suspect to me. So, also, we have the fact that the FBI said they did forensics on the note and they verified the note. So somehow they put the note back together and got the information. Now, did his roommate just tear it up? They put it in a shredder. They do know the FBI has a way to reassemble shredded notes. I don't think they could do that if somebody burns it, because it's just ash. That would be a neat trick. So anyway, the roommate went out of his way to destroy evidence, obstructing justice. So he's already broken the law. Is he going to be charged? Depends how valuable to the case he is with getting a conviction. Looking to me at this point, I don't think they really need the roommate at this point. So, in the text message, Tyler Robinson told him, don't talk to the police. Don't talk to anybody. And told him he should get an attorney. Now I'm thinking, well, he doesn't have money for an attorney. Why would his roommate, the furry, have money for an attorney? So that seems like an odd statement. To me, you know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like to me like you were in on it. If you get arrested, don't talk to the police until you have an attorney. So to me, that seems like a basic slip up. Now, I'm not a detective, But it seems like an odd thing to say, that you would tell somebody to get an attorney and don't talk to the police. Why would you need an attorney unless you're getting arrested? He didn't say that in the text message. He just said don't talk to the police, get an attorney. So that tells me that Tyler Robinson knows that his roommate was in on it, and I'm telling you he was in on it. It's my opinion, just my opinion. I think they had a loose, fly-by-their-pants plan depending on what was happening at the time that they talked about ahead of time, and they made sure to use texting to have evidence to exonerate him. So I think it may actually turn out where the furry actually orchestrated the entire thing, because he's a furry and trans, and Charlie Kirk was a threat to him, because Charlie Kirk wanted to, quote-unquote, eradicate transgender ideology, which the media and the Democrats were saying that they want trans people dead, which is not what that means. But I have seen a lot of these young leftist indoctrinated idiots online saying things like Republicans want to put them in concentration camps, they want to get rid of them. They said they wanted us eradicated, these people say. So that is the propaganda that really got these people going, pushed by the media. Daily Beast, Guardian, New York Times, Washington Post, New Yorker, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, NPR, PBS. They have all been ideologically captured, as the intro to my previous video stated at the beginning. Hope you enjoyed that. Took a while to put that together, but that's my honest viewpoint on it that I share. So basically, we cannot rely on or trust anything. We have to do it yourself, come up with your own conclusions. This is my own part of the internet where I get a chance to do that. You can either agree with me or disagree. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe I've watched one too many Columbo episodes. Or Quincy, remember Quincy, MD? Jack Klugman. He played the coroner and he would solve crimes. That was a cool show. I remember that. I used to watch that one. Anyway, we're going to find out one way or the other. We always do. And just a reminder, remember the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and the media circus? Literally 70% of what the media said turned out to be false. And there are still liberals today that believe the propaganda. They still believe Kyle Rittenhouse transported a rifle across state lines. Never happened. So a lot of that information was made true by the media when it wasn't true. And so now you have Jimmy Kimmel going on national TV. I didn't talk about this too much, so the last part of my walk I'm going to talk about free speech and Kimmel. So, Jimmy Kimmel had a monologue that wasn't aired, okay? It wasn't aired. I'll wait till this motorcycle goes by because I really love them. So anyway, Jimmy Kimmel had a monologue that was very, very, very provoking towards MAGA. ABC pulled the show based on that monologue. And they claimed it went too far. And I believe that. So, Nexstar, to be clear, from what I know, is the one that pulled the show, even though it belonged to ABC. They told ABC, this show of yours is not going to air on our networks, where we relay your show for public consumption. In other words, it's not going to be on DirecTV, it's not going to be on satellite dishes, and it's not going to be broadcast. ABC then made the decision, because they're overpaying Kimmel to begin with. They have a very big budget. They spend millions of dollars a year, tons of money, and it's not making that money. And this is not an exaggeration, and I'm not misstating the number, okay? The 18 to 49-year-old demographic, Kimmel was getting 130,000 viewers. Not 130 million, not 130,000. I mean like 1.3 million or something. But 130,000 viewers when his show would air. So you got 130,000 viewers. Sponsors and advertisers aren't being seen, and the ones that are being seen don't want to be seen with a host blaming this killing on MAGA when there's absolutely zero proof of that. And in fact, the FBI, the family, Utah law enforcement, friends of the shooter, all said that he has been lost to the far left. So that is a fact. So not only was Jimmy Kimmel on air lying, but he was also opening himself up to a lawsuit from Turning Point USA for defamation, as well as President Trump just winning a couple of cases against ABC's Slopidopoulos and a couple of other networks that they paid President Trump tens of millions of dollars to settle it because they were guilty of misinformation and lying. President Trump just appointed a new FCC chair. The FCC chair said that this problem has to be fixed. He had a conversation with Nexstar, and then Nexstar made that decision to cancel the show. So basically the new FCC guy is telling them that if you don't straighten your act up, you're going to lose your license to broadcast. Now the media is saying Trump is using that to control the media and destroy free speech by only showing what he wants seen, and if he sees something he doesn't like, a show is going to be taken off the air, which is not what happened. So this is an unfortunate thing, because if you didn't really know the details, you might possibly think that. But basically, Iger, who owns Disney and has been pushing this woke bullshit, decided to yank the show because he knows defamation when he sees it, and telling the national audience on a national network with an FCC rule in place that you have to do equal time to both sides of an argument, or you're in violation of existing law for the FCC and your license. Why do networks use licenses from the FCC? Because those licenses are worth a lot of money. The networks would have to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars for the right to broadcast. And so taxpayers don't have to pay that to get the news. These laws were put in place when we had rabbit ears, 3 networks, okay, 3 networks besides PBS, and all of them had to be fair and equal in their coverage with bias, okay, non-bias. It had to be done equally. If you say something bad about the left, you're going to say something bad about the right. And now, while people are crying about Jimmy Kimmel being taken off ABC, ABC has a streaming platform, as do many other places. And Jimmy Kimmel's show cannot be restricted by the FCC on streaming online. There's no regulation by the FCC. So a network that is spending millions and millions and millions of dollars for the cost of broadcasting with a studio could easily just start streaming, like people like Charlie Kirk did, and other people that got fired from their networks for being partisan idiots, like Cuomo, who used to be on CNN. You have Tucker Carlson. You have Bill O'Reilly, and you have Don Lemon. Don Lemon, he's got his own online podcasting thing, and they're probably making pretty good money. And they have more freedom to say what they want, and they are. So that's the future of everything. These networks are dinosaurs. And, you know, a lot of people are crying about free speech because of Trump. This is, you know, it's all just Trump, 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 Trump. I would like to know where the goody-goody two-shoes were when former Red Sox baseball pitcher Curt Schilling was fired from ESPN when Obama was president, because he said that men don't belong in women's bathrooms. Everybody seems to forget about that. Was that a free speech issue that he got fired for? Well, the conservatives at the time said he's supposed to have free speech, he shouldn't have been fired. But I disagreed with that, and I still do. ESPN was owned by ABC and Disney. I don't know who owns them now, but Disney has a track record of firing people that don't represent the network's point of view. Just like if you have a workplace and you have somebody in there poisoning the workplace with politics, pissing everybody off that works there, they're going to get fired. It's not illegal. It's not a violation of free speech. You have the free speech to say what you want. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's going to prosecute you for saying what you say to get fired. That's free speech. But with it comes consequences. If you belong to a church and you walk into it and you say, "All hail Satan," and they tell you to get out and never come back, that's not a violation of your free speech. So I don't even know where they are trying to make this argument with Jimmy Kimmel. And it's because Trump. That's all it is. It's because Trump wanted this. He's been tweeting about Kimmel being fired for years, which he has. He hates Kimmel. Well, he's the president. He just appointed an FCC guy that told Nexstar that we have to stop this because it's bad for the country, and it could mean your license. So there's nothing illegal with that. That's the FCC's job. The FCC has all kinds of rules, like you can't swear on the air till after 10 p.m. So you see Gutfeld on Fox, he's on at 10 o'clock, and then that's when you start hearing the S words and stuff like that. They can't do that during the day, and if they do, they can get fined. That's, you could say that's suppressing free speech, right? If you say the F word at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, your network's going to get a fine. Why are we being fined? That violates my free speech. So it's a dumb argument to begin with. Just dumb. ABC is not a public square, okay? It's a private company. Full stop, period. Jimmy Kimmel can stand on any street corner and say what he said with no consequence. But you can't do it working for a company that don't want you to do that. So, simple fact is, really, Kimmel is losing money. People aren't watching. He's got terrible ratings, and ABC knows this is not going to help. This is just more controversy. So he's gone. And you have to remember, a lot of these elite people that are very wealthy doing what they do are now going to protest in his behalf. Stephen Colbert, who's probably next, and that Seth, whatever that guy's name is, I don't even watch him. I think he's one of the people that took over the, I don't even know who the hell's hosting late night anymore. Haven't watched it in years. Trump's first term, people like Kimmel said, well, if I lose half my viewers because they voted for Trump, I don't care, he said. So, we don't watch them. And the Democrats are in the toilet right now with the public. People voted for Trump. They're not buying this bullshit. So if you own a company, you should put a cap on it. That's what ABC is doing. They also halted The View from recording live because they say too many outrageous things that are going to cost them money in lawsuits. So these people's shows' days are numbered. It's coming to an end. And I just want to take a moment to remember when we used to have Johnny Carson, David Letterman, who, by the way, was very upset and blames Trump for censorship on this issue with Kimmel. Comedians are supposed to be able to say what they want. And I agree with that, but you have to do it on a network. This is not the first time in history somebody gets fired for what they said on TV, is my point of bringing up Kurt Schilling. So there have been many examples. The woman that was on that show for Disney, Curano, she was one of these MMA females, very tough. She was in that movie TV series, The Mandalorian, which I like a lot. I love the character she had on the show. She made a statement on social media about the left treating people that wear red hats with white letters on them like they were Nazis, and that's not who we should be as a country, and she got fired. And that's all she said. So this isn't something new. She didn't have any free speech. She did file a lawsuit, and she won her lawsuit, and she got an apology from Disney. So she won her lawsuit. She was reimbursed for money she lost, and she got fired, and Disney lost the suit, and they had to pay. So she had her due process. She had her day in court. Disney was free to fire somebody, but they had to suffer the consequences for it. Now, she didn't win her lawsuit based on free speech. She won her lawsuit that she was wrongfully fired, and I guess something happened behind the scenes. They just told her to get her crap and get out, and that was it. So she didn't really have any discussion with anybody about it. They didn't want to hear it. She got canceled immediately because the rabid fan base demanded she be fired. So the left still has not grasped that Charlie Kirk was our MLK. That's the gravity of that. He's the biggest conservative name since Trump and Ronald Reagan. Charlie Kirk probably was going to be president someday. So, or held some kind of office of importance and would have done a good job at it. And he's gone. So, anyway, I guess that's all I have to say about this stuff for today. Hopefully there's some good stuff to think about, talk about. And remember, don't spread conspiracy theories online. Please don't do that. It does nobody any good at all. It incites people into insanity. Always put a disclaimer on whatever you say, that as far as I know, from the knowledge I have, this is my opinion of what I think. You know, too many people are making posts like, oh, look at this. This is that, and they don't cite any sources, nothing. So we need to be better stewards of the internet. And I have not been posting negative things, calling Democrats names, and I'm not happy with them, and I say that, but I'm not calling for anything to happen to them. That's insanity. So anyways, my friends, click like and subscribe. Sunny over here. Click like and subscribe. Share the content. And say a prayer for President Trump and the country. And pray for the Democrats. Pray for them to come to their damn senses, because what I saw today makes everything worse. It was starting to get that feeling like maybe we're getting on with things, and you know, I said on my walks, it won't even be 2 weeks. And that's what happened today. So they're angry, they're in the minority, they're trying to stir things up and rile their base up, and they have some serious problems. And again, my attitude is just let them talk. Let AOC keep making a fool out of herself like she did today. The Americans don't support that. They just don't. So I think the Republicans are going to take the high road and let the Democrats talk. And because, you know, we're the saner people in the room. We don't react on emotion. So we react on other things. So anyways, my friends, stay peaceful. God bless you and your family, and pray for all of us. See you next walk, my friends. Stay safe.